I make Kirblogs cause I know I'm a loser. Take them down, I just upload again. Even if I don't make any money, Pokemon on a new Kirblog. Very, very timely, right?
Yes.
Because the demonetization shit.
Exactly.
So very, very good. I'm also running out of anime openings to do for these, so I hope we get through the month quickly. Hi everybody, welcome back. This is the second new Kirblog of Pokecember. By this point, I can say that thankfully the Fire Red WAP playthrough has been going well, so I've been able to do these kind of intermittently. I'm joined once again by Amy, ZeroIncorporated.
Hi.
Hi. So this is actually one that you didn't suggest, but you kind of inspired, because I recently learned that you had a fairly decent Pokemon trading card collection still with you.
I wouldn't say decent. It's,
you mean compared to like the real collectors, quote unquote?
Yeah,
Sure.
I dabbled in it a little bit,
yeah. But either way, it was something that I never thought could fit a whole Kirblog, and I didn't really know too many people that were like that into the card game. But then I figured, oh, you know what? This would also be a good one for Amy to join on. So we're going to talk a little bit about our memories of the Pokemon trading card game. This will probably be a pretty short one, but I had a couple little quick stories to start off with. So to begin, oddly enough, and I've been noticing this with a lot of other people that I meet, and whether they were big into Pokemon or otherwise when it first came to the U.S. But so if those of you who don't know, if you're a little bit younger, when Pokemon actually like launched in the U.S. In 1997, I believe, Nintendo and I guess Game Freak and etc. by extension decided to launch kind of everything like all at the same time. So like we got the games, the anime, the cards, the toys, everything all launched at once, because by that point they had built up the franchise a decent amount in Japan. So they had this big like massive strike of just Pokemon stuff everywhere. But oddly enough, the cards were actually among the earliest things that I remember just like seeing all over the place. And like even Casey and Kira, who didn't grow up with the first few games when they were younger, they always distinctly remembered, yeah, everybody had the cards, like all the time. And even before I had the game, even before I knew much about like what it was, I was already intrigued, and I already had a little bit of a like I guess a stint of wanting to collect stuff. So I remember I had a small goal of wanting to get the starters as cards. I wanted Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle in card form. So I remember I went all over school and like bothered people constantly, like, what can I trade? What can I do to like get one of those cards? Like, oh yeah, I have a double of Squirtle or whatever. Like, oh, like if you trade me this or buy me this, or not buy, but I don't think there was money involved, thankfully, because we were like 10. Yeah, and I did in fact get those three long before any of the other stuff came about. But that was kind of my first like my first actual memory of the cards themselves. But how about you?
My memories?
Yes.
Oh wow. I never played the game, but I was mostly always into collecting. And since I never understood the game, I kind of mostly just collected and almost played with them as toys a little bit. But I was really into just getting as many rare cards as I can, including like trading with neighbors' kids. And unfortunately, I never got the OG Charizard.
Really?
Yeah, I never got that.
The holographic Charizard
Yes,
that does like 120 damage or whatever.
The card that everyone knows about. It still pains me to this day because, I'm the kind of person who doesn't want to just buy it from a store. I want to like earn it. And that's how I've always been with packs and stuff, like just trying to get a special card or something. And
so you didn't just want your favorites or whatever. You wanted to just like get as many of them as possible at the time.
Yeah, and I also wanted to get my favorites, and I would, try and get packs. My parents weren't very keen on buying a lot of packs because they were smart to do that, because my parents on the other hand were just like, they just gave completely into it by that point. It was I feel so bad for that. I feel so bad for the amount of money I'm sure that they've wasted on this, because unfortunately
well, maybe I'm wrong about this. I always got the impression that like now you can't even give them away. Like a lot of the like, oh, like where they're going to be worth something someday, and like they're not actually.
No,
but is that not the case now?
No.
Okay.
Pokemon cards are still worth a lot. Even the new cards, like you can go on eBay. Like anytime a new set comes out, you look up like full art EXs, all that stuff, and they'll be worth like 10 to 30 to up to like 100.
But and will the like original run, like the early what would they be called?
Like base set and.
I guess that we have the pulling the curtain back. We have the Bulbapedia article for all the original sets of cards open. Because I mean I remembered like the original classic set, and then there was Jungle, and there was Fossil, there was Team Rocket, there were the gym leaders. I think there was it was like the Tropical Island like little mini set. I don't know if we ever got that in the U.S., but I remember.
I don't think we did.
I always remember seeing pictures of those in because I used to collect. Do you remember Beckett magazine?
No.
It was.
Oh wait, yes.
Yeah. It was mostly a toy collector magazine, but they also had like cool articles about stuff. They had a Dragon Ball, a Pokemon, and a Yu-Gi-Oh one. I think there might have been a Digimon one at one point too. But they always had like listings for all the different cards that were available, and they always had little features about ones that had come out in Japan as well. But so when you were talking about those early days too, like were there people always constantly trading for stuff?
Not really. Mainly because schools like forbid it.
Oh, really? Were they banned
my
early
schools
on for you?
for
Wow.
me. So we would have to like secretly do it, and it not much trading happened, unfortunately. They just banned all toys, all cards, all that stuff.
Yeah. See, we didn't get our stuff banned until by the time I got to middle school, which was like the early 2000s, and by that point, like a lot of people had kind of moved on to either Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh by that time, because Yu-Gi-Oh was 2001, I think it came out over here, if I'm remembering right. But yeah, there was in the late 90s, there were a lot of trading happening, like constantly all over my elementary school. And I remember actually, okay, this is gonna make you feel bad considering you never got that Charizard. So there was one fateful day there was this local card shop. I cannot remember I think it was Collector's Kingdom was something. It was in a mall on Long Island. If anybody out there remembers or knows what the hell that is. But I went to, and they would sell, by the way, at this place, they would sell individual like rare holo cards from the early sets, like in little like plastic things, and the little sleeves. And so I would go there to buy a lot of rare ones. But I remember there was one day where I just was feeling lucky, and I got 2 booster packs of the original sets, the first one before any of the other sets that came after it. And for those of you who may or may not remember, the very first set's like 2 rarest cards were the holographic Zapdos and, of course, the coveted holographic Charizard. I got both of them. In the 2 booster packs that I happened to get, I got both of them.
You bastard.
Yeah, I was like, how have the children's trading card games God smiled upon me today? Is this Arceus' divine doing? So actually, because of that, there was a point in time where I had 2 Charizards, which is absolutely unheard of. And then here was the silly thing that I did. So, well, in retrospect, it was silly. So my goal, because I also did not play the game at that time, my goal was I wanted to collect all of the first 151 Pokemon in as many different forms as possible. So by that I mean I had all of the 2-inch collectible figures of them. I had them all collected on my blue version, which was stolen from me later, and I wanted to collect them all in card form. So when Pokemon the first movie came out in theaters, they had, and they still do this when the movies are in theaters, they come with cards that you can get as like a promotional thing. And one of the cards that movie 1 came with was Mew. And I didn't know where else to find him. But I knew one person in school who had a Mew, and they said, I'll trade you for a Charizard. And I was like, okay, and I gave them my second Charizard. Which, I had one already, but in retrospect, it's like, why did I give away this incredibly rare, incredibly expensive card to a person for a fucking Mew card that I probably could have found for much cheaper, because they gave, like, I think it was Pikachu, Electabuzz, Mewtwo, and Mew were like the 4 like cards that came with the movie, and you just like get a random one or whatever. And And literally, in retrospect, I think even like that following year, I was like, why did I do that? What was wrong with me? But I did it, and I did ultimately. I think I actually got the first 2 generations worth of cards, all collected in my binder, which is somewhere back home, for all I know.
Oh, in Generation 2?
Yeah.
All the Neos and whatnot?
Yeah, and in fact, I had, from Japan, I had a Pokemon, Neo was the first of the Generation 2 run of cards. I had a special sleeve, it was a collector's edition thing, with all 9 of the evolutions and the starters and their evolutions in a little binder of like 9 cards. And at that time, I didn't even know what their English names were going to be yet. It was like that early on before Gold and Silver was coming out over here. So I knew like Wani Noko and Hinorashi for Cyndaquil and Totodile, reverse, not respectively. But yeah. Anyway, what else you got for me?
Well, let's see. Well, now that you bring up the Neo sets, I think one of my most memorable moments with Pokemon trading cards is that I think it was Neo Genesis. When that set came out.
Is that the second one? The second Gold and Silver one, or third?
I think it's the first.
Was the they just call it Neo?
It had the starters.
Oh, okay. Because I thought Neo, it was just straight up Neo was the first one.
I can't really remember. But like I got when the set came out to America, I got 1 pack, and the very first pack of Neo Genesis I got the holographic Feraligatr.
Ooh.
And that became like my favorite all-time favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Totodile, Croconaw, Feraligatr, and I still have this card.
Mm.
It's a little
like the one you had from back then.
Yes,
wow.
I still have it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's my favorite card and like my most treasured Pokemon card.
Oh. Even though Feraligatr is no longer your favorite Pokemon at this point, but
yes, it is.
Feraligatr?
Of course it is.
He's your favorite like overall Pokemon?
Yes.
Wait, really? I swear to God.
I keep having to tell him this.
Why
won't he listen?
Because I always think that Lycanroc is your favorite because you like the dog so much.
It's my second favorite.
Okay.
But Totodile still has that very special place.
Totodile was one of my favorites for many lame reasons. No, not really. It's funny too because I remember like this is kind of tangentially related to the games too, but like at the time like the Gold and Silver stuff was still like really mysterious. Like by that point, like the game was out in Japan, but it wasn't easy to get a whole lot of information about stuff. We still didn't know what like a lot of the Pokemon in that generation were about. We didn't know what their names were going to be yet in the U.S., etc. Because there was a pretty long delay before we got Gold and Silver compared to Japan, because probably back then localizing games like that was so much more difficult. Excuse me, but yeah, and like even before that, that was when like they were slowly seeping out information about like here's a couple new Gold and Silver Pokemon we'll reveal like through a movie or an episode or whatever. Yeah. Oh, here's Lady Ba and like Blossom or whatever. Just a couple little quick ones to tease you for there's a new game coming out and etc. But you've also been collecting even still the more recent stuff.
Yeah. So about a couple years ago, I just felt like kind of getting back into it. I was mostly getting Generation 5 sets like
Black and White stuff.
Yeah, like Plasma, Freeze, and Storm. What else?
My only really following of that stuff was seeing the commercials, which had the really cool like CG animated stuff, and like I saw that they added a few more types to the cards at that point. And like I like Cerebi.net would have like updates on like here's the newest set or whatever, and I'm like, my God, like there must be like over 100 different like sets by this point between all the different generations and everything.
Probably.
Yeah.
They make a lot. Yeah, and I tried to get back into it, but it kind of got expensive, so I had to stop.
Yeah.
But I had some pretty neat cards.
Were there any in particular that were like kind of on the more expensive side or like on the super rare side that you just like happened? I mean, aside from that Feraligatr that you happened to like come across.
I had an N full art that is probably still going for like around 100 on eBay.
Oh, a trainer card of N?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was, and probably it was so expensive was because N is just such a popular character.
Yeah.
But I remember after I just got it out of a pack and I was like, wow, cool. And then like later on I look online, I'm like, wow, that's worth a fucking lot.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up having to sell some of my Pokemon cards to be able to move out here.
Really?
I had to get some extra cash, and I actually made like about 200 from the just like 10 or 15 cards I sold.
Wow.
Like,
shit. I should do that.
I mean, that's the thing. I wanted to bring this up earlier, but like, you have a bunch of the old cards, but
I do.
I imagine that they're probably not in the best condition. It really matters that they are very,
you know
very
what?
good
Actually,
condition.
I mean, so my binder is like somewhere back home, probably with Datafer somewhere. But I kept mine in pretty decent condition, and I know that I have a lot. I know I definitely have the entire first 251 all collected. I mean, like, you know, I don't know like which are like still worth a whole lot now. I remember actually, this is kind of more of Mike's story, but Mike and Steve have a little thing, a little plaque in their house hanging up, and they have kind of like that Neo sleeve that I have with all the gold and silver starters and their evolutions. They have the Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle evolutionary lines with an energy card for each one, and a little plaque in their living room. And I'm like, oh, that's cool as shit. Which I would be up for. You know, I kind of want to do something like that with my figures someday. My figures are not all in the greatest condition ever, but I have all those too. So actually, here's a question. So, did you ever attempt to play the game at all?
No.
Never once.
Never learned.
Okay.
I can't tell you now how you play that game.
Not even from just like guesstimating from reading the descriptions, the attacks, and everything.
I know there are like coins you got to flip and
Yeah.
damage counters or whatever. But I don't know how it works.
So I can't remember the exact first time that I tried playing the game, but I do remember around the time that the gold and silver cards were officially coming out over here, and something must have come over me to like start taking up playing the game, and I knew a little bit of how to play it before that. I think I had one of the original like starter decks that they had when it was like a combination of different types and things. They weren't like it wasn't like the Yu-Gi-Oh starter decks where they were like based on certain characters and like cards that they had or whatever. It was like Jungle Fever, and it was like electric and water, or electric and grass types, like that kind of thing, like just random different Pokemon like kind of scattered around. And then later, of course, they had like the gym leader starter decks based on the Gen 1 gym leaders and everything. But which also, by the way, I will say that some of my favorite just like novelty like trainer cards were the gym leader ones, where it's like Misty's Tears, and which is actually that was the one that was censored in the US. Or like Blaine's Hot Blooded, and like Sabrina's ESP and that kind of stuff, because they had really, really cool artwork that looked kind of like Sugimori's game design versions of the characters. Because like really all we had to go on like material of those characters was like the anime, and they were very different looking from the game artwork. So collecting that kind of stuff was super cool to me. Anyway, but so I took up playing the game a little bit, and for some reason, I decided that I was going to try going to my local Pokemon trading card game league at my local Toys R Us. And I also, by some miracle of Christ, dragged Mike into doing it with me. So I think we got new starter decks, if I'm remembering correctly. We got new decks specifically for playing at this place. And I think, actually, no, I do remember now. I think that the thing that I specifically wanted to go there for was because they had like giveaways for like special stuff if you were like part of the official league, and they had like a person that was like overseeing it or whatever, you know. And if you basically would earn points from playing and from winning. So you would get 1 point for just playing a game, and you would get 2 points for winning a game. And you would when you reached a certain threshold and you get up to a certain number of points, you would get a badge. They would actually give you a little pin of one of the gold and silver gym leader badges.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I think that, if I'm remembering, I think that one of us got enough, like, after going for, like, a month or whatever, and we were getting bored really quickly. But we got, I think, the feather badge as Faulkner's, if I'm remembering right?
I think so.
The very first one. So that was really all we had to take away from it. And I remember there was one guy, and I'm not commenting on this being like creepy or whatever, but there was one guy who was like, he was older than the rest of us. I think he was like in his teens, or rather, I think he might have been like high school or college age or something. He was definitely older than like most of the other kids there, and he was clearly way better. And also he played Magic. And I also remember whoever the person was that was like running the league was like, you could just play Magic too, whatever, we'll count that as points. And I'm like, oh, okay, just because it's also a Wizards of the Coast product, you'll just like let us do that. And I'm like, I think that was around the time when Michael and I were just like, yeah, we're bored, let's just get the hell out of here. So that was the end of our short-lived Pokemon trading card game, career, if you can call it that.
Yeah, but at least you played it.
Yeah. And it's a cool game. I think it's it's funny because I remember like playing Yu-Gi-Oh was more fun to me, even though Yu-Gi-Oh, especially by now, is probably infinitely more complicated than Pokemon is, just with like how many different types of cards there are and everything. Because Pokemon, I think, was built to be just a very simplified version of Magic. Because it's the same basic kind of system. Like in Magic, there's like the energy cards or like the mana cards, where like you can use those to like you cast different spells or whatever. It's the same kind of basic rules with that and everything. But like I remember losing a lot of my energy tokens, or no, not my the damage tokens. Like you had to like put them on top of the card to show like how much damage was being caused or whatever, and like it just became a little bit too much of a hassle to keep up with that. So I just kind of turned to just the collecting side, and then from there it just became about, okay, I'm just gonna try to collect all the first 2 generations worth, and then by the time Generation 3 came around, I was like, I'm done with the collecting stuff. So I gave up by that point. I was of the faint of heart. So
you wimp.
I know I was.
You gave up too early.
I know. You're in generation 7 by this point, and still going strong and getting all these and not playing the game at all, but making me look like a fool. You got anything else? Any other memories?
Well, not so much memories, but I mean, like the trading card game is still very popular. Mm-hmm. Like I would say it's gotten even more popular in more recent years, and I would say that might be partly due to it has quite a strong presence on YouTube.
Really?
A lot of popular YouTubers who open packs and they show their collections and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people feel because they can't afford to buy the packs and stuff, so they kind of turn to YouTube to see people opening their own packs, and that might seem kind of silly, but I can sort of get why, because like even just watching someone else open the packs, you kind of get that excitement seeing like a really rare card pop up.
Yeah, it's like opening a Christmas present. It's like just unwrapping something and like, ooh, what's the thing I'm gonna get? I don't know what it is. Like it's the same like childlike wonderment feeling.
Yeah, and I just see the game just getting more and more popular, especially with collecting. And cards are still worth a lot, but of course they have to be in very good condition. I mean, like, you could have the OG Charizard, but if it's like all beaten up, then no one's gonna want it.
Yeah.
But I think the new sets are pretty cool. Like, of course I adore the original artwork and the style.
Yeah.
And while I prefer that over like how they draw the artwork for the new cards, I think the full arts and the EXs are like super cool.
Yeah.
Like how they do that, and the Mega Evolution cards are like just so
Well,
awesome.
now they have these cool ones where like, is this like the EX style where like they're like coming out of the little window where the artwork is?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that's pretty cool to show.
That is.
Because like I imagine like after a while, I mean they get like lots of cool guest art. I think even Sugimori himself has done a lot of them as well. But I mean, like for stuff like that, where it's like, how do we take this further? And then like some of the special trainer cards, like the N1 you were talking about, where like they take up the full length of the card. Like that's really cool to me.
It is, and they're like textured.
Yeah.
So they're just really nice, and they almost kind of feel like they have a little weight to it. It's
Yeah.
like it really feels special. And like I've actually kept some of my special cards. I couldn't sell them because like they were just too special, and the artwork just looks too cool. Especially Thunderous Therian Form has a really cool one for a Plasma Storm set. Yeah.
Which animal does that one turn into again? I forgot.
It's like a dragon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like a dragon genie. It's
Gotcha.
awesome. I also have the full art of that guy too.
Nice.
Yeah, the Plasma Storm I kept buying packs of specifically because I really wanted both of the Thunderous cards.
Okay. You're the first person.
Oh no, Plasma Freeze. Was I saying Plasma Storm? It's not Plasma Storm. It's Plasma Freeze.
But you're the first you're the first person I've talked to who has like an affinity for like the like Thunder God trio. Because most people I know don't even like, oh yeah, those guys. They're like the genie dudes in the clouds. Yeah, they're weird. Like,
I think they're cool. I mean, like, I can understand not liking the genie forms because they're like, they all kind of look the same. But then the Therian forms came out and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I remembered something. I also had the Pokemon trading card game, the video game for Game Boy.
Oh yeah.
And I remember playing it for hours on like a plane ride somewhere. We might have been going to like Disney or something one year, something like that. But I played it for quite a while, and I was absolutely fucking wretched at it. I was really, really bad because like I think the AI, like, they were all programmed to be like good players, and like that was before like I really like knew a whole lot and like how to build like a strong deck or whatever. And I was just like, what am I doing? So yeah, I remember sucking a lot at that. And I found out that apparently there was like another one. I think Did You Know Gaming did a thing about this. There was a second one that they had like more of the other cards added, and that we never got that in the U.S. But I also remember I'm sure probably in one of the other Kirblog's I've done before, I talked about how I made an entire like fake Pokemon game that I wanted to have as like the Generation 3, and I added types to it. I added like heat type and smoke type and science type, because in the trading card game, Game Boy game, there was a science gym, even though science wasn't a type in the card game or in the games at all. But it was like a science themed, like they had like Mewtwo and like Grimer and stuff like that, or Magneton. So I thought, oh, what if there was a science type? And what if like Mew3 was like part psychic and part science or whatever? And I'm like, and then, I'll make science weak to electricity so that Pikachu can defeat them or whatever. And there's an evil science type Pokemon and blah, 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 whatever. So interesting and whatever. Yeah, so I sucked at that. That was the end of that story. And otherwise, the end of my journey, as far as I'm concerned, is once in a while when I would buy DVDs or like when we went to go see I Choose You, we got the Ash's Pikachu card.
Yeah.
So like that's really otherwise the rest of the ones I have are in a binder back home in Long Island somewhere, like just sitting in a corner, probably right next to my Yu-Gi-Oh binder. And once in a while I'll get a new Pokemon card and like put it up somewhere like in my collection of other random bullshit, but that's about it. But meanwhile, you have a real nice binder with everything in it and all that, you know.
Yeah, just a small collection,
yeah.
But
just a humble collection of several hundred thousands upon thousands of cards, you know, whatever.
I do not have that much. What are you talking about?
You don't have in the thousands? You have to. Really?
No.
Wow.
God.
Wow.
I should bring my binder next time and show you.
I overestimate. I overestimate.
It's really not that much. The only recent set I actually tried to complete was Flashfire. Okay. I have a bunch of those cards, but other than that, it's just random stuff.
Okay. I probably have like some of the early sets. I definitely don't have like Team Rocket or the Gym Leader ones like fully completed, but I think I probably have like original Jungle and Fossil, like everything that came with those for the most part, because like they were spreading out the first 151 like throughout those, and then like after that they had like dark versions and like Gym Leaders versions or whatever,
yeah,
etc. You know, I didn't have very many of those.
And I also considered, they made the Evolution set. Mm-hmm. They basically reprinted the old classic cards for the 20th anniversary.
I heard about that.
And I was really tempted, even though I had to save money at the time. I wanted to get the Japanese booster box because in every pack that comes with a holographic card, rare. So like you would always get one for every pack. And I was like, that would be a good chance to get the Charizard.
Yeah. Well, especially if you buy a whole box of them, it's like how are you not going to by that point?
There's still that chance. You
really?
Just don't. I mean, it happens.
Jesus.
Yeah, but
I don't, are the updated versions of that first classic line, are those like legal to play with in the game now?
Yes, they did change like all the stats and moves.
Yeah, because a lot of those ones you can't even use them if you actually play the game these days.
Yeah, like some in the Evolution set, which is the American name, they even like changed some of the rarity for some cards. Like they made Raticate a rare.
Huh.
Yeah, and I was like, why? Raticate sucks. And I think they changed Nidoking's typing back to Psychic.
Oh.
Because he was Grass, but like poison types are usually Psychic type.
Really?
I think.
No, I think aren't they usually? No, I think they're usually Grass. Because I think there was always like bug, grass, and poison were always the grass energy.
No, he's a purple card.
Really?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Yes.
He's like ground and poison, right?
Yes.
That's really weird.
Yeah, he was grass in the base set, and then was he base set?
Yeah, I think
yes,
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I gotta look that up. That's very strange.
Yeah, I was really tempted to get that set, and I think it was really cool that they kind of reprinted the old cards.
Yeah.
And, I think the only other set I was interested in was the Shining Legends, which is like one of the most recent ones. They had a lot of really cool cards for that.
Yeah.
Including like the shiny legendaries, like they had a shiny Mew and shiny Ho-Oh and stuff like that.
Did you ever have the Egyptian Mew card?
Yes,
oh
I have
God.
it. I still have it.
Fucking what's his name? Lawrence the Third from the Lugia movie. I'm afraid I'm more of a collector, young lady. And I have this Mew card. That was so strange to me. That was like, hey, by the way, here's one of the trading cards in the show for some reason. I'm like, all right, sure. I mean, I can't use this because I can't read it.
Yeah, it's just a little novelty thing.
It was funny. Even the back of that one, I think, was different too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Good lord. Anyway, well, I guess that's about all I've got to share. Same with you?
Yeah, just about.
Cool. Well, that was a fun little, I guess, not quite quick one because it was over half an hour, but which means you have to edit it.
Yay!
Hooray! Money for you. Anyway, actually, I got to give Amy some massive credit because I believe this will be coming out on the 16th, which is the day that she is being very kind as to help me send out all of the assignment of rights contracts to all of the people who donated for the Tone Kickstarter. So thank you to everybody listening who happened to donate to that, and thank you also, Amy, for helping me in advance, because we're recording this ahead of time, in advance for helping me send out 1,500 individual emails to people.
Yes, of course. So, that's going to be really fun.
Yeah, and by really fun, I mean, like, please kill me now. If anybody in the comments, if you have any fun stories to share about collecting and playing the card game back in the day, any particular favorite cards or sets that came out throughout the 20 years of Pokemon history, let us know. I just found out from remembering an old question that was submitted to me. Amy will be joining for another one. You're just like the queen of these Pokemon Kirblogs this month because you are related to all of them somehow. But next weekend we'll be doing a Pokemon Kirblog about our visitations to the Pokemon Center stores. Mm-hmm. So look forward to that. But otherwise, if you have any other possible topic suggestions for the month while we still have some time, let us know in the comments below. And look forward to the next one, and we'll see you next time. So fare thee well.
Bye.